if it works. And if not, we'll just do it without the live. And for those that are just joining us, I was just sharing that I'm keeping my camera off today to not risk losing you. A few days ago, I've been having some streaming issues since I am currently in Ecuador. So in an effort to not make that happen again, we are sticking to doing it this way. And I think we're live. If I'm seeing this correctly, I think we are live and good to go. All right. So welcome everyone. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Wait, can everybody hear me? I just need thumbs up reactions or something. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. And since everybody is doing like me today, I can't be upset about you not sharing your screen. Because typically I am fussing at you all about sharing your screen, but okay. Let me get this going here. And I also I shared with you all last week, I recently got a Mac, which has been a very interesting process as I try to get used to Mac on Zoom. I'm okay with it on everything else, but on Zoom, it's a different experience. And I don't say that in a good way. I don't like it on this. I have to give my computer my password to share my screen. How interesting. You all seeing my screen?
Yeah.
Yes, no, maybe so.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Because remember, I can't see anyone, so I need the feedback. And if at any point you lose me, put something in the chat or scream at me that we can't hear you, because I cannot see anyone as long as your cameras are off, as long as we all keep our cameras off. So I'm going to go ahead and get started in essence of time. So welcome, 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 everyone. So excited to be with you all today, all the way from Ecuador. I think I shared with you all last week that I'll be out of the country for the entire month of May because it's my birthday month. But I do really love marketing outside the box, which is why you're with me today. So as I do a few quick intro things, please feel free to use the chat. And for those of you on Facebook, please feel free to put in the comment section, introduce yourself, let us know who you are and about your business. Just a little bit about marketing outside the box and hustle. My name is Magali Ascent. I serve as the interim executive director of Hustle Winston-Salem, which is a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to inclusive entrepreneurship and the success of small businesses and entrepreneurs. So we started marketing outside the box probably 3 years now, and we do it every week, same time, same place. I'm looking forward to doing it again in person soon. And we do it in conjunction with the Foresight Tech Small Business Center, for those of you that are familiar with the Winston-Salem, North Carolina Triad area, as well as in conjunction with Flywheel Co-working. It's a great partnership that we have when we do this together. If you have any questions or want to know more about any of those organizations, don't hesitate to put it in the chat and let me know, and I will definitely make sure that you get access to the people that you need to get access to ask them questions at either of those locations. As you can see, I cannot control this computer. So before I jump into today's presentation as well, I do want to mention to you all that this is week 2 of this series. However, this will be, it will feel like the last day of the series, and I'll explain that to you in just a moment as to why. So next week, as you all know, this month we were only doing 3 weeks of marketing outside the box instead of 4 weeks, because that last week is my actual birthday. So May 26th, we won't have marketing outside the box that day. So next week though, marketing outside the box will be a little different, and I'll explain that towards the end of this presentation. So I'm kind of wrapping it up today in this presentation because it's going to sound like I'm closing it out for the month. And then after we get through today's presentation, I want to talk to you a little bit about June, and then get your thoughts on July and August, because I like feedback from the audience. All right, so that's where we are. And I might try to go through this quickly so I make sure I get through everything. In my mind, it seems like a lot. Maybe it's not, but I'd rather have more time left over than not have enough time. Okay. So first, let's talk about this. Let's talk about what word of mouth marketing, and this is week 2 of word of mouth marketing for those that was not with us last week and joining us this week. We're just continuing on. That's how we do the series. We do bite sizes each week to kind of get the entire concept and series together. So this is week 2 of this series. And so traditionally, word of mouth marketing, as you see on the screen, it was spread from one person to another, which I'm sure we all know. And then today, when we look at word of mouth marketing, that it's still true, that the traditional way is still true, but it also describes both targeted efforts and naturally occurring instances where users share their satisfaction with a brand. And we're going to talk a lot about some of that, the modern way as well. Last week, we focused a good amount of time on the traditional and spent a little bit of time on the modern, but we'll get through it. So as we think about today's hyper-connected world, a single recommendation can have a far greater impact. We know this. This can lead to word of mouth marketing strategies capitalizing on any opportunity that comes along where someone gives that single recommendation. That one single recommendation can capitalize into so many other opportunities. So many best practices in marketing tactics encourage natural word of mouth, which I support 199%. I support it 119% to 199%. 19 is my favorite number. I say that all the time. But so while I do support the traditional way, I do want to also let you know that campaigns, particularly on social media, can have the explicit aim of promoting an online business social exposure, an online business's social exposure. So I hope after hearing last month's series, when we explored customer service, and last week when you heard from Lizzie, that you know you can build trust through your platforms. This means you can also create and build your word of mouth. You can create your word of mouth and build your word of mouth. That's different from when we saw traditionally. The modern ways allows you to create your own word of mouth. So in many ways, social media makes this easier than it has been in the past. Remember, we see brands blow up by developing a Facebook group, by having YouTube influencers talk about them, by getting on podcasts, et cetera, et cetera. And while all this happens online, it's still a word of mouth marketing or advertising technique, okay? So think about that. And I also want to say, guys, hopefully I don't lose any service, but if for any reason I drop off, it comes right back on. So don't leave, just hang around and my connection will reconnect immediately. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about organic versus amplified word of mouth. So again, word of mouth marketing happens in 2 ways: organically and through the use of marketing and advertising campaigns. Uh-oh, I'm hearing some feedback. I don't think it's you, Rick. I thought it was you. Can everyone please try to mute their background just to help out with whatever sounds we're getting, because we're getting some feedback. But okay, where was I? So there are 2 ways, organic and through the use of marketing and advertising campaigns. The 2 obviously have inherent overlaps. And a good word of mouth marketing campaign will cause increased organic word of mouth. I'm going to say that again. A good word of mouth marketing campaign, meaning a good amplified word of mouth campaign, will cause increased organic word of mouth. And you can relate these to the traditional versus the model you just saw on the modern, that you saw on the previous screen. So vice versa, if you already have a decent amount of
Excuse me, Magali. Someone said in the chat that they have black boxes on their screens.
So you all are not seeing my slides?
It is me with the black box. I see part of your slide, but I got a black box that's covering up part of the slide as well, and I don't know what it is.
Me
Is
too.
I see that as well.
Oh no. Okay, let me pause for a moment. Give me a second and try to figure that out. Okay.
Thank you.
I don't know why that is. I'm just gonna try to share again. Hopefully it's not a Mac crazy thing because I have no idea how to use this computer for real. Are you all seeing it now, or is it still just a big black screen or half black screen?
I see it now. Whenever you made whatever change you made, only thing I could see was the picture of the lady and all that, but I could not see your personal screen.
I see like a black tile on the top right of your presentation.
Oh, okay. I think that's you all. Okay, is it gone now?
It is.
There's now a rectangle right there where you have your mouse.
So that's you all. I need Mac users to tell me what to do because this is a Mac problem. I told y'all experiencing Mac Zoom on a Mac is a different experience. What about now? Is it still in your way?
It's not in the
just
way, but I think
That's good.
I think it's in the way only when you're using your arrow to point. Like if you it's not in the way, but as you move around with that arrow, then it's well, I take that back. Sorry.
So can you all see it now? Is it still in the way? I don't know.
It's in a very small corner. So now we can't
It's not
sit.
blocking
Now we
anything.
see.
Okay, thank you for letting me know. And I'm sorry about that, y'all. I'm trying to figure out Mac. So did you all, where were we? I think we're on this slide. Can you all see this enough?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And I apologize for that. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so a good word of mouth marketing campaign will cause increased organic word of mouth. Vice versa, if you already have a decent amount of organic word of mouth, your word of mouth marketing campaigns will be much more successful. So they kind of pretty much rely on each other. When you think about the two types of word of mouth, and those two types are organic and amplify, as you see on the screen. Again, if I'm getting some feedback, I'm not sure who it is, but can we all just try to mute ourselves unless you're speaking to avoid the feedback, please? Thank you so much. Okay, so as it relates to the organic word of mouth, as you see here on the screen, it ties really close to traditional. It's the same thing pretty much. It's natural, people advocating for you, your business, your product, your service, and they're happy about it. And then as we think about amplified word of mouth, it requires you launching some type of campaign, and that campaign help accelerate your business into the communities and things of that nature. So people want to talk about your business. And again, they rely on each other. So as we think about word of mouth will never, ever, ever go out of style. This is said by Jamie Turner, who's an author, business owner, CEO of 60 Second Marketing. But he says, word of mouth will never go out of style. It is and will remain the number one way people make choices about brands. And I cannot stress that enough. If you focus on that and remember that, it ties very much closely to what we talked about last week. So let's talk a little bit about why you should care. So last week, Lizzie went over some pros and cons with you. If you all remember last week's presentation, and if you weren't with us last week, just send us an email at hustlewsinfo@gmail.com and we'll send you the presentation as well as the links to the video. But she went over some pros and cons last week. Today, we are adding a few more advantages to that pros list. Number one on the list. So you often hear that you have to spend money to make money, or in my case, I always hear broke money don't make no money. I know some of you all are familiar with that. And that's still essentially true. But organic word of mouth marketing can be your exception when we think about the whole concept of broke money don't make no money, or you have to spend money to make money. Organic word of mouth is your one exception, or can be one of your exceptions to that rule. You can grow your sales without spending your advertising budget. This is literally free 99, y'all. Literally not gonna cost you a cent. So that's an obvious advantage of it. It's a like a duh moment, right? The second thing here is you often hear that the second thing here is another advantage is that you're building a committed customer base, right? When you think about word of mouth marketing, you're building a committed customer base. So with that, word of mouth marketing helps you build a community rather than focus on your goods and services alone. Build that community and they will help make your commodity top of mind. So you're building a community, not a commodity, if that makes sense. So you want to think about your customers in a way where you want to make sure you're getting that engagement. You want to make sure, because that's the ultimate goal. You build that community, you get repeat customers, and that's the advantage. That's what you want to do. Okay. And then the last thing you see on that list is more freedom, more funding, more freedom. Again, last month when we explored customer service as a form of marketing, we went over CAC and LTV, which are the customer acquisition costs to the lifetime value of a customer. You all, for those that was with us, you should remember that. And again, if you weren't with us last month, same email address, we'll send it to you. Okay. So when you think about that, CAC and LTV, investors, so angel investors and venture capitalists, they are interested in companies with high customer loyalty and are more likely to fund your business if you can show your customer track record. So having a good understanding of that and making sure that works for you ultimately is an advantage for your business. I just want to make sure that you understand these are the reasons why you should care about word of mouth marketing, because ultimately that gets you the dollars. And this is, in this moment, we are talking about the bottom line that gets you your dollars. Okay. So quickly, 3 areas that we want to briefly discuss as you think about word of mouth marketing, 3 areas that it affects these particular areas. The first being, one second, I'm sorry. Did my screen just freeze for you all, or can you all see it?
I can see it.
Yeah,
3
okay.
areas of quality working, or WOM.
Okay, wanted to make sure I got that. Okay, so the first thing is brand loyalty. It can cost you 5 times more to acquire a new customer than to keep a current one. 5 times more. And it's estimated that a 5% increase in customer retention can boost a company's profitability by 75%. So if you can maintain 5% of your customers, retain 5% of them, you're getting a 75% profitability. So word of mouth marketing directly affects your brand loyalty, getting those customers to stay committed to your brand. Why is this? Think about it. A positive word of mouth advertising or marketing strategy keeps customers coming back and referring, and they refer other customers who also keeps coming back, and they refer more customers who also keeps coming back, and so on and so forth. The cycle continues if you do this right. So word of mouth marketing definitely helps you with that cycle in creating that brand loyalty. The second thing is, so last month we stressed that people trust friends. You may remember that when we talked about customer service. People trust friends. They trust friends, they trust family, and they even trust strangers more than they do our ads. Okay. We shared that 75% of people don't believe in ads, but 90% trust suggestions from those families and friends, family members and friends. And even still, over 70% trust consumer reviews. So with that in mind, brand trust is definitely affected when you think about your word of mouth marketing strategy. In this case, word of mouth marketing means your brand is being recommended in the most trustworthy way possible, directly from people they trust. So it's making your brand get trusted, okay? So it directly impacts that. And then as you think about the third one, brand buzz, it's great to have ad budgets and perfect sales funnels and things of that nature. But the only way to create a genuine buzz about your brand is to have impartial people impartial people shouting about you on social media and on their networks to their friends, whoever. And a good word of mouth marketing strategy severely increases the likelihood of this happening. Okay. So all these are the three areas: brand loyalty, brand trust, brand buzz. 3 areas directly impacted by your word of mouth marketing strategy. So there's one thing to make sure before you do anything that we're about to talk about in the next few slides. And the one thing that it is that you need to make sure that you do before you create any type of word of mouth marketing strategy is create an epic experience first. You need to make sure that your customers are already getting an epic customer experience. There's a reason we did customer service last month before we did word of mouth this month. You have to curate that experience and make sure they're having a positive experience, or your word of mouth efforts are futile. Okay? It's pointless. It's a waste of your time if you're not giving them good customer service. And Lizzie said that last week. I said it all of last month. You'll probably hear me say it again in a couple of weeks. Just keep that in mind. All right. So trying to get people to refer their friends or their family to your business, again, is almost impossible if they had a poor experience with you. And Lizzie shared with you when she talked about the cons last week, the cons, if they have that one poor experience, hey, that's pretty much it sometimes, unless you do some real work to regain their trust and faith in your brand. Because think about it, it's even hard to impress an average customer, a customer that didn't have a bad experience. It's already hard to give them an epic experience. So think about it. You don't want that negative space. But on the flip side of that, imagine what you can do if you spark up a whirlwind of positive experiences. Imagine the impact it has. So I won't go into too much detail around the customer service piece of it, but I will say a few things to keep in mind as you think about giving them an epic experience is obviously sell a quality product or service. And again, guys, we went over all of this last month, so go back to the presentation. Sell a quality product or service, create a seamless order process, run an effective operation that includes your employees, and go above and beyond for your customers. If you keep those things in mind, then the epic customer experience really isn't that hard, okay? So there's a blog by the name of Referral Candy, and Referral Candy put together a researched infographic of about 42 successful examples of how to get word of mouth marketing, how to do more with word of mouth marketing. And that includes established brands, new ideas, crowdfunding Kickstarters, et cetera, et cetera. So when you receive this presentation, you'll see where it's linked here, where it says how to get word of mouth, 40 plus examples. That's a linked document that's linked to a website, that has 42 examples from Referral Candy of companies that are doing it right, that you can pull from, that you can look over those as you start to think about creating your very own strategy, okay? And it can kind of inspire you. So you all will get this via email and you can look at that on your own. Referral Candy also believe that there are 3 parts of getting more out of word of mouth, right? They believe there are 3 simple parts, and that's the wow, the seed, the grease. So you make a wow product or you create a wow service, you seed the wow, and then you just add grease. So to learn more about what that means, because again, we're not going to go over that in today's presentation, but to learn more about what that means, when you receive this presentation, that same link will give you more information about the wow, the seed, and the grease. And if you have questions beyond that, you can always contact us once you review it, okay? So moving on, we're going to shift gears a little bit in this presentation into building your word of mouth marketing strategy. So the key thing here is I want you to move away from hoping that people will tell their friends about you and start to move towards specific strategies that actively encourage people to refer your business, okay? So we don't want you to be in a place where you're hoping they tell someone to come to your business. Make sure that that's happening. There's things you can do on your side to ensure that that's happening. Those are the strategies that we're about to look into. And if I'm going too fast, please feel free to stop me and ask your questions. I know I didn't stop it, but I'm sure Tony or Tasha will let me know if there's something in the chat or on Facebook. All right, so I know you can't see that, but when you get this presentation, it'll be a little clearer, or maybe you could see it a little bit. But here are a few ideas for building your word of mouth marketing strategy. First thing here is set up word of mouth triggers. A word of mouth trigger is your X factor. It's the thing that makes your business stand out from any other in your industry or space. This means giving your customers something memorable. It could be an experience, a thought, or feeling that they can't get anywhere else. And they're left being almost forced, but in a positive way, to talk about you to others. There's an organization by the name of The Hustle, not our organization, but an organization called The Hustle. They send ambassador promotion emails anywhere between 2 weeks to a couple of months after someone joins their network. And the ambassador promotional emails, that's their thing, that's their X factor. And they continue to test the timing, whether, we talked about testing months ago. They test the timing to see how effective it is, but that's their wow factor. So it's nothing you need to think too hard about. It's probably something you already do, but you want to define it as your X factor. You want to make sure that okay, this is my thing. This is what I'm doing that my competitor is not doing. And their ambassador promotional email includes a lot of benefits to their members. Okay. The second thing you see there is use visual triggers. So we have word of mouth triggers, but we also want you to use visual triggers. Disney is a great example of a company that does an amazing job of this with their theme parks, right? They create a stunning visual experience that people just want to take photos of and share with other people. Of course, this can be a little trickier when you're thinking about doing things online or e-commerce or things of that nature, but you can get creative. You could create a website so stunning and unique that people just have to share it, right? Or whatever the case may be. I saw where there was a local business, not local to our community in Winston-Salem, but it was based in Charlotte, a local business that when you visit their website, they have a virtual photo booth that you can take a picture, you can choose your background, you can do all of this, and it creates an experience that you were there, even though you're only shopping virtually. So they created a visual trigger. So now other people that go there, that shop on their website, they want their picture, right? They want their amazing, cute picture that they can post on social media and say that they've been there. And with this particular company, you only get that option if you make a purchase. So I thought that was genius. Okay. But as we think about, doing this from a virtual digital space as well, that's a really good idea. But think about navigation on your sites. Think about ease of use and think about conversions. Even though we do want you to have cool stuff as visual triggers on an e-commerce site, those things you cannot forget about because all of that plays into the word of mouth marketing strategy. They're not going to get to this wonderful photo if the navigation to get around your website or the ease of using your website was not easy, okay? If it was not something that they can deal with. So think about that as if you try to add things that are word of mouth worthy on your site. A company that did an example of both, of balancing, in-person visual triggers as well as virtual triggers is Ikea. If you think about Ikea, they're a great example of a brand that used a visual trigger to create word of mouth. They were among, if not the first, they were among some of the first retailers to embrace the idea of augmented reality. And they did it in a big way. If you all remember, they created a huge online buzz. And when they launched their AR app, you were able to experience Ikea. Obviously, you can experience it in person and have amazing visual triggers, but you're able to now experience it in augmented reality space. So they're a good example of doing that if you're thinking about kind of elevating your business to the next level in that way, especially as we move into a hybrid space. And you all know we talked about hybrid already a few months ago. Okay. So the next thing here that I want you to think about as you're building your word of mouth marketing strategy is create something unique. Create something unique. Creating something totally different and out of the box is another way to trigger people into spreading the word about your business. The examples we just talked about visual triggers, that's it. Those are examples of creating something unique. It could be that you market your business in a way that's so totally different than anyone in your space. It could be something that has absolutely nothing to do with your business, but it's still an attraction. It's an activation. It could be that you take an old product and sell it in a completely new way. So who did a good job of that? It was Dollar Shave Club. That's the name, Dollar Shave Club. They are a fantastic example of taking an old product and selling it in a new way. Their old product is a razor, shaving razor, and they sell it they sold it in a newer way, which was their subscription model. It's a grooming subscription model, I believe, particularly just for men. They may have advanced into women, but they also marketed themselves using like self-depreciated humor, which was different for razors and men. It was such a serious industry for men that want that clean cut chiseled look. And they just kind of made it this funny scenario. And all they're doing is selling razors. So they took an old product and sold it in a new way. So that's something unique. So you really can think outside of the box and not have to stress yourself too much on that one. And then the last thing you see on the screen here is the emotional toll, which we always talk about. We always talk about the emotional side of marketing. So you know this, tapping into people's emotions can be super powerful for generating any type of sale for you when you're talking about your business. And you can tap into emotions in a number of ways. It could be talking about something that your business values, something that's happening in the world. You know, again, I'm in Ecuador right now, but I heard that we're having a gas issue in the States. Like that could be a great example into tapping into people emotionally. People can relate to that. You can use that to provoke people to respond emotionally to your business, your brand, or something of that nature. And that's just a quick random example, but hopefully you get what I'm saying when I say emotional provocative. Did I lose everybody? You guys are quiet. Are you guys here?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. My screen keeps freezing and I'm never sure. Thank you. Okay. So where are we? We're still talking about building your word of mouth marketing strategy. And there are just a few things that I don't want you to forget. And some of these things we've talked about between last month and last week, but I just want to stress it to you really quickly. The first is engaging your follower base in a two-way conversation can encourage them to start shouting about your business on social media. We know that. So this effectively endorses your business and refer their friends and their followers to you. So we know that this works. We talked about user-generated content. I can't remember how long ago it was, but we talked about maybe it was just last month, user-generated content. Use that in your word of mouth marketing strategy. Just all you have to literally do is repurpose the content that your users are already posting. You share it. They're talking about, oh, such and such business reshared my post. Whatever the case may be, it allows them to start talking about your business. Okay. You can also, when you think about using user-generated content, you can offer discounts for posts that meet certain criteria. So, you know, if someone posts something about your business and you decided you wanted to either say how great the experience was, you want them to post a picture of being in your shop or online or whatever the case may be, you decide what your criteria are, and they post it and they tag you. You can use that content and encourage them to do this to get a discount. So you're effectively creating your word of mouth marketing because they're going to do it. And within the criteria, you're telling them what you need them to do in order to kind of create that buzz around you. Okay. Another way, as you think about user-generated content, you can literally run an ongoing social media competition on your own hashtag. Create a hashtag and create a competition around your hashtag, and you don't ever have to stop this. Or you can do it for a special amount of time. You can decide this is only going to run for 3 days, it's only going to run for 3 weeks, whatever, or it's not, it's running forever. And it's a competition. Again, you decide the rules of the competition, but the idea is you're getting people to talk about your business. And you all know hashtags, the digital footprint of anything on the internet. So, you know, I'm a huge fan of hashtags. And there's an app, and I think it's a paid app. I don't think it's free. It's compatible with Instagram. It's called Combin Growth, COMBIN. I could be pronouncing that wrong. Combin Growth. And what this app allows you to do, it allows you to filter out hashtags based by search results based on meaning the time that they posted it, the place that they posted it, meaning, you know, this person was in Virginia when they posted it, or this person was in, you know, Ecuador when they posted it, whatever the case may be. You can filter it by likes, by how many people liked it when they posted something, how many people commented, so it'll count how many comments are in there. It can filter it by the gender of the person who did it, the language. You get the point. And the reason I'm mentioning this particular app is because it can help you if you were to decide to run a hashtag competition. It helps you keep up with that. And people, again, are talking about your business, and you're staying up on making sure you're using that user-generated content, because you have an app like Combin Growth keeping you up to date on what you need to know as far as what people posted. So again, you've been hearing us talk about reviews, just like we've been talking about customer service. We've been going super hard on reviews, and you need to push those reviews. You need to push those ratings when people give them to you. That's part of user-generated content. You know, last week, Lizzie showed you some of the reviews. Like, she showed you some responses for some people. She screenshotted reviews that she's received. That was part of her presentation. And of course, last month, we talked about it, reviews to death. So, you know, even this morning, if you receive our Hustle newsletters, when we sent out our newsletter this morning, we shared some word of mouth marketing review tips from a local agency, open media agency here in Winston-Salem. We shared some tips with them. So if you didn't look at it yet, go back and read that blog that he shared. He had some additional tips in there that could be valuable to you. But essentially, the point that I'm making here is reviews are crucial. And if someone is willing to shout about your business, make sure everyone knows about it. Repurpose that review. If someone says something amazing, create a graphic, put it on your social media, tag that person and say thank you. All of this is going to generate the word of mouth marketing, and even though that is a campaign, it's going to generate organic word of mouth marketing, going back to how we said they overlap. The other thing is you can offer a systematic referral reward system. You can offer a referral program, and these referral reward programs, they're a great way to really nudge and push happy customers into actually taking that step and introducing others to your business. And rewards can be anything. It can be simple. It can be, you know, discount off your next or first order. It can be X amount of dollars gift card for referring a certain number of people. It can be straight up paying people for referrals. You can do that. A lot of banks do that. They'll give you a $10 deposit to your account. So you can straight up pay people for referrals in a positive way, though, not like, you know, an illegal way. And then you can also, you know, give bonus gifts with the next order for referring people. Like, you referred someone, they tell me you referred them. My tax lady does that. If I refer someone, she gives me a $50 incentive. So there are a number of ways that you can use referral, and these referrals create word of mouth buzz, okay? And it creates that cycle we talked about earlier about they will then refer people and they become loyal. Those people refer people, so on and so forth. But there's a key caveat that I want to mention as you think about referral programs. So I want to make sure you're aware of them. And it's that you need to know your customer numbers and metrics, especially the average lifetime value. Okay. there's no point in giving a reward of, for example, $50. There's no point of giving a reward of $50 if your average customer only has a lifetime value of $25. You're just throwing away money at that point. So this is why reward programs lend themselves particularly well to businesses that provide services, or if you are a product-based business, you have to really understand your numbers so that you know that you can afford to spend $5 on this reward or $2 on this reward and not overvalue a reward and end up costing yourself money. So if you're going to offer a referral program, make sure you know your numbers, okay? And we'll have a know your numbers actually event, I think next month. So I'll tell you more about that, and it's separate from marketing outside the box. So then the last thing under this particular slide that I want to make sure I stress to you all is you can get influencers from word of mouth marketing. You can get your brand or your products reviewed and talked about by relevant influencers in your industry. And of course, that's immediate word of mouth. Some influencers, again, you can pay outright. You can pay them to promote your product or to promote your business. And there's nothing wrong with that, but there are better ways to do so. And that includes sending them products for free to talk about your product, or providing them a service for free to talk about your service. It could include connecting with them over a worthy cause and having them speak on behalf of your business in this particular cause. And it could be working with them to solve a real challenge. And that challenge could be in the industry, in the community. It could be nothing with your business. But the idea is that influencer is going to talk about your business. They're going to mention you, and people are listening to them because they are an influencer. So you can make it work for you, okay? So the first 4 things on this slide we've already discussed, but I wanted to share this and this is from an organization by the name of Core DNA. I wanted to share this from Core DNA because of the 5th item that they have on that list, and that's host branded promotions and events. You all know I'm an event planner, so I'm a huge fan of that in general, but honestly, it works. Another way to generate buzz in a more extracurricular manner is truly to just develop innovative promotions or participate in or put on fun and engaging events. So you don't have to be the one to create the event. You can participate in them to create buzz around your business. And basically you're doing whatever it takes to show your appreciation for your loyal customers. That's the idea. That's what you're thinking about at these branded promotions and events. So overall, this is about adding to the customer experience that we talked about. This is about adding to that experience in a way that they probably didn't expect. And that will probably get them talking about your brand to anyone who will listen. Like, oh my goodness, I went to this event and such company was there and they gave me this to test and it smells so good, or it tastes so good, or whatever the case may be, right? They're talking about your business. They now have your business card, or they know where you're located, and they're willing to potentially come or tell someone else that they know need that service to come, okay? And sometimes this might all seem a bit ridiculous, especially if you're not in, if your business isn't really in the business of creating these experiences. It seems a little ridiculous. Is it sometimes ridiculous? Absolutely, definitely. Does companies give away a ton of free product or free services during some of these events? For sure, like positively they do. Is it all worth it though? You bet. I would bet you $1,000 it's worth it every time. Year after year, these companies do it because it's worth it every time, not just for brand awareness, not just for brand loyalty, because it's impacting the bottom line. All that additional traffic, whether it's virtual or foot traffic, all that additional traffic from new and current customers to these particular types of events, data shows, and I don't know the statistic off of my head, but I know it's a substantial number. Data shows that it drastically improves the company's average daily revenue. Okay, it improves their daily revenue, and that's the reason people are sticking to this year after year. That's why people are itching to go back to conferences and conventions where they can be they can have their table set up and just be there as a vendor. It works. So just think about that for you and your business. All right. What are we doing on time? Okay, we're good. So a few things that I have a few slides to get through you all, even though this says homework slide, there's a lot that I still have to get through with you all. First things first, let me talk to you about some homework. What I'd like you to do between this week and before next week is review the steps on the next slide that we're about to talk about and start to put those into practice. So we're about to go over some steps on the next slide. I want you to put those into practice. Then I want you to begin an outline. I'm sorry, yes? Yes?
Your screen is blurred, so we can't really read. All we can read is homework and prizes. And it's on Facebook that way too.
Was it like that the entire time, or did that just happen?
It just happened on the last slide.
Let me just stop sharing my screen and share it again. I don't know what to tell y'all. I really don't know why this is happening. I'm so sorry. Thank you all for hanging in there. But if you can't see it, I'm literally just reading the homework and you'll get this presentation. Is it still blurry?
Yeah, still blurry.
I don't know why. Well, I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm going to keep talking. So in essence of time, and you're going to get this presentation, and everything that I'm saying is on the presentation, okay? So the first thing is you're going to review the steps on the next slide. Hopefully the next slide won't be blurry when I get to it. You're going to review. Okay, perfect. Wonderful. So you're going to review the steps on the next slide, and you're going to start to put those steps into practice. You're going to begin to outline a word of mouth marketing strategy for your brand based on last week's presentation and today's presentation. Okay. And again, if you did not receive last week because you weren't with us, please just send us an email at hustleWSinfo@gmail.com. And Tony or Tasha, if you can put that both in the Zoom chat and in the Facebook comment section, so they have that. Just send us an email if you don't have that. So then next Wednesday, as long as you've registered, you will receive a template via email at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from Hustle to fill in and measure your word of mouth marketing strategy. And the reason I'm saying that you'll receive a template is because we won't actually be here working on it next week, Wednesday, but you will receive it in your email same time that we would normally have the session. And I really encourage that you use that hour that you would have been here with us to work on that. And I'm setting you up with that homework by telling you, review the steps that we're about to talk about. Create an outline based on what we've talked about in these 2 weeks, because when you receive that template, it helps you fill in these particular steps. And the template will also help you measure your strategy. So, you can test your strategy out in the next 3 weeks and start to measure it and be like, okay, this is actually working, or why is that not working? So that's what you'll receive from us next week. Going over to the prizes side and then a little bit more about next week. So you all may remember last week, Lizzie announced that we are giving away prizes from Lizzie's All Natural Products to 2 lucky winners after next week's session. And the prizes, it's a body bundle that includes her whip shea butter, one of her soaps, a sea sponge, and a mini bath soak. So 2 of you will receive that. And again, the qualifications for that is you have to have participated in all 3 sessions. So you had to have been here last week, be here today, register, and register for next week's session. And what we do at Hustle, we'll do it on our back end. We put all of your names that registered in this virtual spin the wheel, and it'll choose our 2 winners. So we will announce the winners on the 20th via email. You'll be notified. Everybody will be notified via email. We'll collect your mailing address, and we'll mail out those prizes to the 2 winners. And we'll also share the winners in our Instagram story. So if for some reason you missed the email, check our Instagram story on the 20th. And our Facebook story. It'll be an Instagram story and Facebook story. So next week, though, while we are not having a live session, meaning we won't have a session where we're presenting anything to you, there will be a live person on the Zoom if you have questions about the outline. And that person is Tony, who's with us every week. Tony, say hi to everybody again. And Tony's here. Tony's here. She's part of the Hustle team. And Tony is a business strategist. She owns Building the Boss. So she does this. You all have heard from Tony before. I'll probably be on too, knowing me, but I just want you to know that the sole purpose of someone being here next week is if you have questions while you're trying to fill it out or things of that nature. But if you don't, if you're working through it and whatever, you don't need to actually log into the Zoom, and we'll send an email reminding you of this, but just you don't actually need to log into the Zoom. You do need to register though in order to receive the template, because that's how we get your email address. So you do need to register in order to receive the template, and that also puts you in the drawing for the prize, okay? Any questions about that process before I go into the next slide that reviews the steps? Any questions?
Maggie, I might have missed it, if I did, I apologize. But am I registering on Hustle's website for the template, or was that something that you guys done previously?
Yeah, so you're just registering for Marketing Outside the Box. That automatically that means we're automatically sending it to you. So you're registered. So however you registered for this today is the same way you're going to register.
Okay.
So you can visit our website. There's a link there on our website. If you receive our email blast, the link is always in our email blast. If you follow us on Facebook and go to our events, the link is there. If you go to our Instagram page and click on the link in our bio, the link is there. So there are a number of ways for you to register, but it's all the same link. But you're registering for Marketing Outside the Box, and it'll automatically give us your email address. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I think I took a shortcut, and I just have this Zoom info in a reoccurring calendar for me. So
oh, okay, got it.
I honestly haven't even thought about the registering each time, so I do apologize for that. So I'll make sure I start doing that.
That's good, and I'm glad you shared that, because I didn't even think about that for people that may be doing that as well. So yes, for next week, you must register in order to get it. Okay.
Oh yes, I've been doing the same thing. I've just been using from March all the way till now. I've been using the same link.
That's okay, but just
I
know
have
for
too.
next week. Yeah, that's okay, but just know for next week particularly, you want to register. Okay, you want to make sure you register. No problem. All right, so these are the steps. We have a few minutes here. I just want to talk about it. And we'll go through it quickly. And again, you'll see part of this in your template. But step one is become a thought leader in your business or in your industry. And don't think too hard about that. A thought leader means you know your business, you know what you're talking about. You are a leader in this space. You have literally, it's called thought leader. You have thoughts around this that I want to listen to. You become your own influencer, right? So you do that, you're starting your word of mouth marketing. Step two, you're going to inspire user-generated content. That goes to some of the steps, some of the things we talked about, whether you want to run a hashtag competition or do any of the other things we talked about earlier. You're going to, with your business, you're going to try to inspire user-generated content to help spread your word of mouth, to be more intentional about it. Step three, you're going to share your reviews or your testimonials. You're going to do these. You're going to do this. And again, you don't have to do this in any particular way. I know I said review the steps on the slide and start to put them into practice. You can decide to only do 2 of these within the next week, or only 1, whatever works best for you and your business. I'm just putting it out there like that. Okay. Step 4, if you don't already have one, develop a referral program. Keep in mind what I said about the lifetime value of a customer. But if you don't already have one, if it makes sense for your business, develop a referral program, okay? Step 5, connect with industry influencers. That could be on LinkedIn, that could be on Facebook, that could be attending some of these hybrid or now in-person events that you know people in your industry. That could be, and it could be people you don't know, but you can connect to them on those social platforms, like I said. Connect with them and start to create that buzz. Step 6, offer or experience worth talking about. Most of you probably already do that if you own a business, but really think about that and say, what do I offer that's worth talking about? And if you don't have something, start to think about that. And for step 1 and 5, I want to say one more thing about becoming a thought leader or connecting with industry influencers. if you don't already, and you don't have to blog if you're not a writer, or if you are a writer, then blog. And if you're not a writer, think about joining someone's podcast for a session, or whatever. And a blog can be as simple as Instagram, or it could be going live, Instagram, but Facebook. It could be going live on these platforms. Like you start talking so people can start listening. That's what I mean by becoming a thought leader. I don't want you to overthink what I'm saying. I don't want you to go purchase 10,000 books and become this amazing thought leader in your industry. All I'm saying is, I'm sure you're amazing in your industry anyways, but all I'm saying is you need to start creating the buzz about your business. You start creating it so other people can pick up that buzz when you think about becoming a thought leader. And then also when you think about connecting with industry influencers, when you're in those chats and those groups, literally connect with them. How do I stay in contact with you? How can we have virtual coffee so I can pick your brain, and vice versa? And remember when we talked about, hybrid events a few months ago, when you're done with that virtual coffee session or whatever, you go and share about this person and what they taught you. And even if they don't do the same thing, likely if you tag them, they're going to reshare what you tag, which in turn stretches your reach, and makes people either visit your page, visit your website. So you're creating that buzz. You are working to create the word of mouth strategy instead of making it happen itself. So just think about those. And again, you'll receive this with these things. So I know that was a lot and we didn't have time to talk about it all, right? So if you need help on your word of marketing strategy between this week and next week, contact us. You can email us. There's the email address. You can send us a message on Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn, or Facebook. Facebook is the only one that's different. It doesn't have the underscore. But if you do that, give us some lead time. Don't wait until, Tuesday night to send us this message so you could be ready for your template on Wednesday. So if you start doing these steps, those first 2 steps here, so by the time you get this template and you're going to start thinking about this, by the time you get the template that I'm sending to you and start to fill it out, if you have questions, you know how to contact us. If you have questions, you're like, I'm not doing this right. You know how to contact us. You will have this slide that tells you how to contact us. All right. So I'm going to jump a little bit into, I have 2 slides left, y'all, and then I'll be done. But before I jump into these 2 things, any questions about word of mouth marketing? If you have to leave at 1:30, I understand. If you can hang around for about 2-3 extra minutes after 1:30, I would appreciate it. But any question about what we said about word of mouth marketing, about next week, about the presentation, off the top of your head? I think we're good. I don't see the chat popping up and I didn't hear anybody unmute themselves. So with that said, you're probably thinking, why is Magali stressing us about June in the middle of May? Like we're not even at the middle of May yet. Why is she trying to discuss June? Well, I just told you we're not technically meeting next week. And as you know, the week after that, we don't have a session because happy birthday to me. So that brings us to starting to think about next month when you register for Marketing Outside the Box in June. I want you to know in June, our session is a workshop. We're building a marketing campaign. It's a workshop. Sessions will not be live on Facebook. So to my Facebook crew, we won't be live on Facebook during these sessions. You must register, or to the point that some of you all just said, click the Zoom link. That's fine as well, as long as you attend via Zoom to participate. And just know that the space will be limited, because if we're trying to intentionally help you build this marketing campaign, once we reach a certain quota, we will lock the room. So make sure that you register so that you're counted in the numbers as we develop the content and the tools that's needed to help you build a marketing campaign specific to your business, which is why we're limiting it, because we want to make sure that it's impactful. Again, this series is a workshop, so come prepared to work on your business, not just to listen. Y'all hear me yell all the time and talk all the time. This time you'll be working on your business, not coming to hear me talk. Okay? So that's June. And then you're like, well, she just talked about June. Why are we already talking about July and August? Well, I just want to get your feedback, actually. And then I promise this is my very last slide. I want to get your feedback. I've literally been battling. That's why you see all these things on the screen, because I could never make up a decision. So I thought this was perfect. But I've been battling which topic I want to do in July and August, which one I want to do first. I'm going to do both topics that you see there, marketing assessments and then influencer marketing strategy. I do plan to do both, but I can't determine which one I want to do first. And I need your help. So as we think about marketing assessments, that if we do that, just whenever I do that session, that will also not be live sessions, but people would sign up and submit their marketing plan to me, to Hustle, and we'll assess and record the session. We'll have a one-on-one private session with you and your business partner if you have business partners. And we won't go live, but we only with your permission, we will then share the recorded session after the fact in case it can help anyone. Since we would only essentially do 4 businesses, because it'll be 1 business a week. So it'll be same time, same link and everything. It just won't be live and it won't be open sessions. So only 4 businesses will actually participate when we do the marketing assessments. And then the influencer marketing strategy, that just will include tips on choosing your influencers, going live on social media, becoming an influencer yourself, et cetera, et cetera. These are the topics I'm thinking about for our next couple of marketing outside the box for July and August. And I just want to hear from one of y'all, which one would you like for Hustle to do first? Any thoughts, any feedback? You can drop it in the chat. We'll look at it later, or you can just scream it out to me. And we'll just appreciate that.
I say influencer marketing strategy first.
I'm hearing influencer marketing. Okay.
Influencer marketing.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
influencer marketing.
Okay, so that sounds like July will be influencer marketing after we get through the creating a marketing campaign. So just wanted to get some feedback because sometimes I can't make up my mind. I'm a Gemini, guys. But all right, thank you so much for hanging out with me for those extra couple of minutes and for dealing with whatever was going on with technology today. I really do appreciate it, everyone. Hey, Tony, look at Tony in these braids. But, and again, I apologize for having my camera off. It's just my streaming here in Ecuador is not the best, and I didn't want to lose you during this presentation. But Lizzie's been here this entire time? I didn't know you was here, girl, and I said your name 50,000 times. But thank you all so much for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and stop the live. Thank you those on Facebook for joining us as well. And I'll stick around for extra few minutes for anyone that might have questions for me on Zoom. But if not, have a great day.